Hello everyone, my name is Ethan DeVilliers. Today I am going to tell you all of how I've created something from nothing into something great with my life and on the journey and path that I'm on until this day. Now, this is my story of how I went from getting into multiple fights in high school to having a girlfriend, which was my first kiss, my first everything, as so she or I was hers, and how that didn't plan out and how I ended up joining the U.S. military instead of going to college, and ended up marrying the love of my life and meeting two best friends who I consider my brothers until this day. Now, to start this story off, we'll go back to when I was 15. I met my first girlfriend. Now, after about a month of dating her, she ended up cheating on me with some dude that she had met at school. Okay, cool, whatever. I forgave it. I was young. I was stupid. Fast forward, she lives in Slidell, Louisiana for a couple more months, and then she ends up moving off to North Carolina. So our relationship is now long distance. Well, we were long distance for about a year until she decided to cheat again. And it took about a month, but she came back crying and apologizing and saying how sympathetic she was about the situation. And me being stupidly young and in love took her back once again. We were good for another 2 years, I would say. After that, we dated for around 3 years. And she came down to Louisiana to see me. But the day before we hung out, she hung out with another dude. And the dude texted me after I had just hung out with her for a week and we had already been living life up together. And he told me that they had hung out and that they didn't do anything. But for me, that counted as the third time as cheating, because it was like, we were still together. Why would you hang out with another dude? So I ended it all right then and there. Then, now I'm in high school. We're talking about my junior, senior year, and I start exploring other options. I start dating these other girls, seeing what life's actually about. And I always had this high aura presence about myself, kind of like this self-ego, but I was also very introverted and insecure at the same time. But since I didn't party, I didn't drink, I didn't really sexualize or predatorize women in a certain way, I always thought of myself as a better version, but I never really spoke it or put it out there in existence because I was too afraid of what other people may think, which is a weird sense of self-establishment, I guess. But it's just what happens when you're young and you don't know who you are, but you're finding out who you will become. So I got my heart broken a couple of times. Obviously, I was never a playboy. Every girl that I met, I had about 2 more relationships. I just thought to myself, I'm like, this is going to be the one and I'm going to give my all, Then every single time you end up heartbroken because it's a false reality that we live in and we create for ourselves. So after that happened, the final one, we're starting, 2019, June 2019 is when I started working out. December 2019 is whenever I started to get into a deep relationship with some girl, but the girl was publicly known, we'll go with that. And yeah, that was my final heartbreak, and it was my senior year, and I had to decide between going to college or going to the United States military. And it was a very simple choice for me, as I didn't want to go in debt. I didn't want to take the path that everybody else was choosing with life. So I ended up going to the U.S. Navy because I wanted to make money now and then. I just assumed, well, I'm going to go to college for free instead, which is what I still plan on doing. So now I've been in the Navy for 5 years, and over those 5 years, I can tell you, if you plan on going this route, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. I now have that confidence. I'm no longer insecure. I'm decent at public speaking. I can get in front of large crowds, and I proved a lot to myself. I've learned a lot. I've gained a lot of experience. Makes you feel way older than you actually are. It's just certain things that you do as a military member that you would never do out in the civilized community. And there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of different factors, and we could get into that in another video. I'm not here to explain that. But what I will say is I kept that maturity level for around my first year in the Navy, but then I started to decline. And why would I decline? Well, when you're out here alone, you left your family, you're away from home, you're away from all your best friends, you start to think like, what else is there really to life? All you're doing is working on this ship and coming home to nothing. And then you have duty days where you're stuck at work for 24 hours a day, or underways, you know, when you're gone away from what you now know as home, was your barracks room without a microwave or oven or anything in it for, you know, 2 weeks, 2 months at a time. So when you have that constant impact, it causes you to look to external sources. My external sources, which is a bad addiction that I ended up being on, was alcohol. And then I met someone who I look at as my brother named Jordan, and another one that I look at as my brother named Seth. Well, Jordan's the more mature one, he's the older one, but we still drank and partied a little bit here and there. But me and Seth together, we were raging alcoholics, and we were serious frat party boys, but it's like college kids with money, since we're in the military, you know. And that's when I had my credit card and I started going in debt, started partying, hanging out with women, doing all these things that were fun during the time. And I tried to kind of emphasize on myself that I'm just creating memories and I'm just living life. And it's like, what else is there? What is a purpose? You know, I'm making my money, I'm doing my thing, but all of that ends up becoming meaningless. And then in 2022, I end up getting a DUI. I get deranked. I'm busted down. You know, I'm serving 45 days on a ship, which is practically like a prison at this point. And you don't have your cell phone or anything. You can't watch TV. You're just stuck there. And you work from 6 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. Go to sleep, repeat, 45 days straight, you know. And then that led into the 2023, where we went to a deployment in the Middle East. Now I was stationed in San Diego, still in San Diego to this day, on USS Steedham DDG 63. I'm on shore duty now and working at Surface Combat Training Systems Command. But back to the story is, from that 45-day imprisonment of a ship, since I got that DUI, which costed me $10,000, even more in debt as I was climbing out of it. Yeah, we went to the Middle East. Me and Jordan hung out a lot. Learned a lot about myself on that repetitive 9-10 month deployment. But I was away from home, family, friends for a year. Now, sad part, which I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier in this video, that dysfunctional family that I've grown up in. You know, my brother is in prison for 10 years. Had sex with a 15-year-old when he was 18, you know, with statutory rape. He was also a drug addict and a thief during the time, you know, bad environment to grow up in when you're poor. You know, there's a lot of molestation in my family. And 2023, I'm on deployment. About 2 months in, my sister dies, you know, so we fly out, have to go through all of that, you know, see your family broken down. You got to be the strong one. It's a sad life, but things like this are reality checks, and these are the things in life that actually happen. And, you know, you learn a lot about yourself during those times. So if any of you are going through that out there, I really hope and wish the best for you. I pray for you all, because I know that times are tough, but they'll get better, you know. But moving on from that, yeah, deployment comes to an end. I come back to, instead of a barracks room on base, I now live in what's known as the Pacific Beacon, which is like an apartment on base, right? So I'm on this apartment in base, and it's nice, but I'm with Seth, which is my friend. Which, funny story about Seth is, he actually, one time we went to the movies and we were both pretty messed up, you know, drunk, and he punched a light bulb. I don't know what it is, you know, those hanging lights whenever you're walking through the movie theater. Well, he hit that with the plastic cover on it, and it split his finger in half and his hand all right here. And my friend Seth, we rushed him to Balboa Hospital. It's like 12 at night at this point, and they stitch him up, but they do it improperly. These military hospitals, you know, it was some ensign that stitched him up, don't know what they're doing. And then they wrapped his finger too tight. But what happens whenever you have a bad injury like that is it expands because the blood rushes to it. So his finger was wrapped tight, it was stitched improperly, and the blood rushed to it overnight. So whenever he pulled up the bandage the next day, his finger was dead, necroleptic, you know. So yeah, that was a scary sight. It's nasty to see. I think I'm gonna include a picture in here because I want to show you all. But yeah, that's what happened with my friend Seth. So he lost his finger, got disability. We're talking like June of 2024. No, it might have been, yeah, I think June of 2024. So last year, right? And this is gonna lead into how I got married to the love of my life to this day. Thankful for that. So when my friend Seth left, I just got back from deployment, haven't had much of a love life, felt very lonely and empty inside, but I carried a sense of pride with me. So I said, screw it, dating app, might as well go on Hinge. Well, I was watching a lot of Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate during the time, so a lot of the photos that I took or the way I presented myself was based off of their self-image. So I had a lot of photos of me dressed up. My Hinge profile was doing very well. Like I had thousands of matches. And I started hanging out with these girls. And I started to notice that a lot of females are just, the things that they talk about, they don't have a lot of sentimental values. A lot of them are focused on partying or what they're doing with their friends this weekend, or not, like if they talk about work, it's not about creating wealth or creating a sense of establishment. It's kind of like they're just going with the flow, you know, and that's okay. They're young, it's whatever, but I'm not here to get into all that. Now, I was just going on these Hinge days, doing my thing, and then magically, what I thought would be a regular Hinge date ended up becoming the love of my life, which is Shyler, the woman that I'm married to today. And this is why life is so unpredictable and so weird, because certain moments in your life come in and you just never expected a change so dramatic. Because before I met her, I really was just, I don't want to say fed up with women, but situationships. I just walked into every approach or every situation with the mindset of whatever they do, I'm not going to care or overly react or act on emotions, because why should I? You know, like, they know what it was, I know what it was, and whatever happens, happens. So I was looking at this date the same way, but my wife was different. Whenever we sat in that car together, whenever we went to the mall and ate dinner together, she really listened, she spoke honesty, truth, she was genuine, and you could tell by the way that she looked at me, everything that she was saying, she meant. And you could tell she was a fragile soul who just didn't want to be broken again, because she's done put up with a lot of bad relationships in her life, you know. But when she talked about things, she wasn't talking about partying or going out or hanging out with her friends. She was talking about things that matter to me, which is like family, or like when she worked her job, she's like, I'm saving up my money and going to college, trying to get my CNA, my nursing, doing this and that. And it was like, the things she was speaking about were things that were actually going to build you up and build a future together with another person that you love, or an individual. It wasn't some fluff, well, yeah, let's go party, let's go drink with our friends, what are you doing this weekend, let's go downtown. Like, no, none of that, you know. And that's what a lot of people are into. And I get it that party life's fun, but it's not like, you need purpose. The only reason you're partying is because you're bored, man. You need purpose. I just want to emphasize that. And but back to Shyler. Now, during this time, the Pacific Beacon, I moved out, I was an E4, but I had over 4 years of experience in the Navy or service. So here I am, I moved out, they told me I could get BAH because I'm E4 over 4, couldn't get BAH. So now I'm stuck in this predicament and I have to kind of improvise. So man I met on the ship, his name's Kamal Evers. I'm sure he doesn't mind me shouting him out, but he took me in, and he's one of the best people I met to this day. Like, if you mean true friends, this was a true friend. He took me in for 6 months, and I lived in this Palmer Hall room with him, and you know, life was good. I stayed on my grind, working out, kept hanging out with Shyler every single day. Our bond grew greater, you know. During the time her grandma died, that was like a month into the relationship. Then by month 2, crazy, her mom ended up getting cancer. Yeah, and I just had to watch her be emotionally broken down through those, and I was there for her through those tough moments in time. And, you know, our relationship grew deeper, as I said. By December, we ended up kind of living together. I was living under my friend Jordan's roof, who I mentioned earlier in this video. But we lived there for about a month, and we were like, now that I'm E5, getting my E5 pay, it's time for us to get our own place together. So that's what we did. We started looking at places, ended up getting a place together in San Diego, and that's how we're living until this day, and life has been great ever since. Ended up getting married on January 28th. We then took a trip to Vegas. Recently, I just taken her back home to Louisiana to meet my family and see where I'm from and how I grew up, and everything has been great. And dude, like, I can't explain to you guys how beautiful it is. No matter how masculine you are, the greatest thing about masculinity is being able to provide, protect, and support for somebody that you love and care for so deeply. And now I only have that relationship with my wife. Me and my family, we talk and we're good, but we don't talk that much. So my wife is everything I know. She's my best friend. We do everything together, and a lot of people look down on that or say that there's something wrong or bad about that. But dude, why would you go hang out with your friends who are just going to distract you from your path and your journey you're on? You want to build that foundation with somebody who loves you and supports you every single day of your life. So finding that wife, especially at a young age, has been a blessing for me, and I'd wish that for anyone, because dude, times are hard out here, especially with this generation and the way that people act. So now I kind of have a small platform on TikTok. Towards the end of my DDG life, you could say, I started making TikTok videos. Some of them went viral, doing well. I have around 18,000 followers. And that's why I'm creating this video now, because I wanted to give some background, some insight on what my life has been, I guess. Kind of abbreviated or short briefed, even though we're almost 20 minutes in. But I mean, when you talk about 23, 24 years of life, which I just turned 24 today, you can't just compact that into 20 minutes of speaking, but I'm trying to do it quickly. And I just want you guys to all know, these insecurities in life, I need y'all to bottle those so deep down inside that you never think about them again. Because once you start to believe in yourself and you have this belief system, this portrait, this image of who you want to be, once you create that path, that goal, and you're stuck and focused to that, nothing can stop you. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about how you present yourself, and just be you, man. Be you. And if you think that you is not good enough, be the version that you want to be. You don't have to be weird. You don't have to be awkward or however you perceive it. You just create who you want to be. And if there's areas you need to work on, self-analyze, self-reflect, and work on those areas, man. It's that simple. It's a beautiful thing in life, and sorry, some girls started texting me on Snapchat. Don't know why, but yeah, it's a beautiful self-image that you can create of yourself. And I want you guys to carry that with y'all to your heart. You only get one life, and you know what your purpose needs to be. So fight and work towards that purpose. Don't let nobody stop you on going down that path or that journey that you believe you need or create for yourself. Not your family, not your friends, not no strangers. Nobody, man. Nobody. And the biggest downfall for a lot of people, that external source, alcohol, cigarettes, nicotine. You don't need this stuff. You just need to fill it with other voids. Because same thing with loneliness. You think having sex with multiple women or multiple men, all it is doing is filling a void, but you can fill that void with something positive instead of something negative that's impacting your life, and it's going to impact the way that others look at you or perceive you. So just think about that. Please keep that in mind before you go out and do anything that's going to damage your reputation or your mental health or physical health. But yeah, man, life's a journey. I'm glad at the path I'm on. I'm sitting in my Toyota Tacoma. My Mustang GT is parked over here to the right side of me. And for the most part, life's been good. I'm on shore duty. Shore duty in the Navy's beautiful. Gonna do these 3 years of shore duty, get my bachelor's degree in finance while I'm on shore duty. That way I can transition and work on my life outside of the Navy. Not sure where I want to move to in these 3 years. Can't really, dictate things like that because your mindset changes every once in a while. Like every year, I feel like I'm thinking about something differently or thinking about things different ways. Life's a crazy path and I love it, but this is just my simple little story from creating nothing. Doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, you can always turn nothing into something, and you can only grow from there. And what I see in my future path is that finance major, my TikTok following growing, my YouTube channel growing, and I want to create these military videos and these fitness videos and these finance videos, and I want to do things that don't only improve my life but improve your lives as well, because I feel like the whole purpose in life is helping others. And if I can do that, then great. If I can't, then I'm probably gonna feel like a failure, and it's gonna hurt my ego and my masculinity perspective that I have on myself. But thank y'all all for tuning in. If you made it this far into the video, 21 minutes of somebody ranting or just talking about life, I mean, that's a good attention span in today's day and age, because I know I probably would have clicked off 5 seconds into this video. So thank you all. Please like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is. Can't really post this on TikTok, but YouTube, here you are. So see you guys all in the next video. Thank you.